Good morning, traders, and welcome
How can you
to
see what's happening in the market?
a live trading webinar
Good morning,
today
traders,
with Joseph, JTrader. He will be presenting live and we're taking live trades today. This is part of the Bookmap education that you get. So he'll come in a little bit, and in the meantime, we'll dive right into the S&P E-mini. Kind of follow up a little bit from yesterday's session, go into what today's session is like, and then by then JTrader will come in and we'll dig into some large cap and small cap stocks or whatever JTrader is looking at, and take some trades. All right, so you guys know who JTrader is. He does offer mentorship and education. I'll put this into the chat. If you're interested, you can reach out directly to him and ask questions and sign up here. Let's go through the disclosures. Need to go through this, and then we'll dive right into the S&P E-mini. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Live trading is in simulation, demo, paper trading mode and strictly for educational purposes. Live trading executed in simulation cannot accurately represent realistic trading performance. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. An investor could potentially lose all or more than the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security nor lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so let's jump in. Let's take a look at this S&P, and you can see the move to the downside, and kind of approaching our 4,000 level here, and our 930 cash open. Basically, a little bit of sideways consolidation at the opening, but then a straight drop down, more or less. It's done a couple of different legs down. Anyway, yeah, we look for this to trade down to 4,000 basically, and the continuation of this trend. Now, it's not going to be as easy as that. We're going to be looking for some pullbacks, some stop runs, etc. And before we get into that, though, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Okay, we're going to look at a candlestick chart and just kind of recap some of the action from yesterday, because it was good stuff. We saw this move to the upside yesterday, well, what was so interesting about this, and I don't have a screenshot nor the data from yesterday in Bookmap right now. What was so fascinating about this move to the downside, though, was here's our hourly chart here in the middle. This is the daily chart over on the left. Was this the gap up, the gap fill? Well, I think the real gap fill would be down here, but we were anticipating a bounce off of this kind of area in here, right around, I don't know, somewhere between 40 and 35. It went lower. It went down to about 30, and then on this move down, though, what was so fascinating about it, it's over here, was the just the amount of icebergs and the amount of limit buy orders getting filled on the way down. And we noticed that, and we're looking for the potential for a move back on up. And this is where those icebergs can be really one example where iceberg and understanding the iceberg activity, like significant iceberg activity, can lend an edge here, start to give a lot of insight and understanding to larger players. So we saw that, and then we're looking for the move to the upside, and that did play out pretty nicely. And here we are again. Now look at us. We're down below all of that price action now on this hourly chart. Okay, so anyone that bought up in here, well, they're trapped on the higher time frame at least, and now we're back down into the middle here. All right, so looking for price to explore down into some of these wicks down here on the hourly, or maybe even some of these lows down here. So we're looking for the break of this 4,000. So yeah, that's 4,000 is about here. So that's in these wicks in here. We would anticipate some sort of bounce or some sort of activity around there down in some of these wicks. All right, so anyway, that's the quick overview analysis from yesterday as well. Let's jump in here and see what's going on in the current market with the S&P E-mini. And let me take a pause here and take a look at any questions that anyone has here. So YouTube, we're all good. And looks like we're all good over on Discord as well. Okay, great. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, well, let's take a look at some of the market structure in here, and then the order flow within the structure. Understanding the market structure is really key. I keep mentioning that, but we want to understand the market structure because the order flow within the market structure is what gives us a lot of insight where we know there was previous activity in certain areas, so we look for a reaction from other market participants in some of those areas. And then that can be drilled down into very low time frames, and it can be moved on up into those higher time frames as well. All right, so we can even see point of control move down here. It's just a lot of trades and activity right here, and we're below it. So let's see, do we see the sellers starting to come in? A little bit. All right, let's see if they can reach down to here, 17.5. If they can, we can probably get down to 15. Here we go. All right, so there's our move. And how I'll cover how I would have gotten into this as well, and I would have jumped right in here, to be honest, with a market sell, and looking for this to take it further to the downside. Okay, so would I have taken profit here? Probably not. And would I still be in it right now? Yeah, I think I would. So I'm waiting to see, even though this pullback here, looking for this to continue on down to 15. I might consider taking a partial profit. Okay, but I'm looking for that to follow through. Let's see what it looks like when it gets down there. If it gets down, it should get down there. There we go. Starting to see some sellers. All right, there's 15. Yeah, I'd take partial. Down there. Look, I'm not looking for much out of this. This is a very small time frame. So let me just kind of cover a little more in detail about that. Everyone trades differently in different time frames, different risk parameters, different ways of trading, etc. This is just a small example, and it's not a trade recommendation. These are just considerations in here to understand, for educational purposes only, how you may consider managing some of your trades in here, or just looking at a different perspective. And that's it, right? So, and in this time frame here, I'm not looking to hold long because I'm demoing the product here, and I would be out at 15 partial, and I'd be looking for it to fill still down here at this 12 level here. Okay, it just came shy of it, and we already got a pullback. Okay, so probably got in somewhere around 18.5 here, something like that. And I'd have my stop at break even right now. Okay, so this is risk free, basically. Nothing's really quite risk free, but then and looking for continuation here. All right, and that's it. Okay, pretty simple. And then once it comes down here, I would consider getting all out. But if I see a lot coming in here, then I would look for the continuation. Okay, a lot of sellers.
Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Joseph. All right, so just went through a trade example here, Joseph. So I think we're all set for you on a very small time frame, guys. That's how I'd manage it. And let's turn it over to Joseph and let him take it away here. So let me know when you're sharing your screen, Joseph.
Bruce, I also sent you a message yesterday. I don't know if you saw it.
I think so. Didn't I reply?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll reply. So I guess I didn't see it.
No problem, buddy.
Let me
Good morning, traders. So let's start screen sharing.
Yeah. Okay. And let me start sharing your screen as well over here. All right.
Can you see my chart, traders? Bruce, can you see it?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. So good morning, everybody, first of all. So market is on the main trend line over here, looking at ES, looking at Tesla, looking at Apple, looking at NVIDIA, AMD. So I was looking this morning at the main trend line. So we're going to put over here a 4-hour chart. And I was looking at this break. All right. Okay. Now lines are appearing over here. It's also a little bit slow. So I had this trend line over here and I traced this pre-market before the fail. And then we started to look for this breakdown. You can see over here a nice bear flag. This was around 8:30. And then we started to attack short. So personally, I started to attack short over here. This is a nice juicy 30 points on ES. Not everything was fading like ES this morning. So for example, we had AMD that just like dipped and then started like to bounce. AMD these days had a pretty high relative strength. It started to dip. It started like to, if this will be slow, we'll be using transpire over here. It started to dip this morning. AMD has started to push. Yeah, I believe that we're going to stay with this. And you can see the morning wash over here, just at the gate, and then starting to push, reclaim. And then we went over here to the 103, 110. I was looking at NVIDIA, basically had a nice morning wash and then bounce. Apple was one of the main faders. SPY, one of the main faders over here. We had also Netflix, was pretty good fader. I was looking at BTC, USD. So remember, you can choose different over here brokers. And we can see some juicy unwind this morning, right? Personally, this is my setup to day trade short on this one, right? So you can do it only with futures. And then I was looking at Tesla. It's, as you know, Tesla is my main stock. This morning I had the dip. We're gonna just go to the hourly chart. That's the main stock that I trade, at least the main stock that I've been trading for the last 1 year, 2 years right now. Yeah, I would say 2 years. I have a high win rate because I used to gather price action, chart patterns together with order flow. So over here this morning, I woke up, started like to do my analysis. I'm looking at the main trend. So in the short term, and this is bearish. Everybody was asking, are we going to break? Are we going to break? So my plan was over here. If we break 740, we're going to go to 720, 700, and then looking for 680. This is my plan, right? So basically what I wrote this morning at the gate. So we can look at the 5-minute chart. And I'm gonna use over here the Bookmap. All right. So you can see the JTraders that we had this push, right? So we had this push over here to 750. So I started to collect short just over here, the 749, 750, because this was my level over here, right? The 751. And it started like to fade. Started to fade over here with this huge amount of, I would say, red prints, right? Or these magenta. Look over here, this trend line break and these sellers. I mean, sellers over here are in control. We can make this a little bit bigger. All right, so just look over here. Where are the longs? All right, where are the longs? And when I started seeing like this bar over here, dumping, all right, below 745, 744, I added a little bit over here, 742, which is this level over here. Because if you can see this, this level, we had a small rounded curl, right? And you can see over here that they exhausted at this point. Really, they exhausted like a micro stuff. They exhausted. I saw sellers break down over here, more sellers, wash. And that's the wash over here. So I covered a big partial. And then over here, I was looking, all right, if we're going to fail, I'm going to look for that 720. And I was particularly interested this morning, being that the S was fading, to take a big unwind, to take a big fader, right? Didn't happen. So what I had to do, I had to reconsider my plan, to revisit my plan, and to start like changing bias. So when I started like to bounce, so I considered this like a fake breakdown over here, and I saw this V pattern, right? I started like where I covered, I started like to buy a partial. Not a huge size over here, but I started like to buy a partial in this area. And then I started to push. My, I would say, error is that I didn't hold until here. I saw this rejection and I sold everything over here. So I just took like a long partial of the move and I missed like, I would say, 2/3 of the move. And what was the reason why I got out? Look over here. So we had, was 10. All right. I started to see this uptrend over here. And I started seeing this like breaking down, right? Said good way over here for me to cover all position, to sell all position before it's going down. And you can see that we were still uptrending over here using the chart. So I got out a little bit too early and then I missed this big part of the move, right? Now, if you're looking to trade over here Tesla, don't just simply focus on the, I would say, lower time frame. Start looking at the bigger picture. I would say start looking at an hourly chart and start looking at the levels over here. So trace your support resistance. I put over here also my, I would say, the high volume zones. And we can see one over here. Then we have a second one over here. And then we see a third one over here. So I use that high volume zones area, all right, together with bookmap levels. Over here we see one. Over here I see another one. Over here I see another one. Over here I see another one. And then we had another one over here. Okay, so this is the zone that I'm watching right now, 760, 762. Let's start analyzing the tape together. Let's see the order flow over here. You can put also traders. I use this SVP, all right? So session range volume profile. You can enable the point of control. So this is basically like the same thing that we would see on, for example, volume profile, but a little bit better. I like to have this on my charts. So you can put the color you want, of course. And then when you have it, You'll see this, in my case, I put a yellow line over here, but you can change color, red, blue, whatever. So we are basically above the point of control, right? This morning, when I was looking for the fader, we were below the point of control. Now we are above. So it's like showing over here, pretty good strength. And even in the order flow, you can see two main parts over here. One where we have the majority of sellers in control, right? Look over here. And the second one where we have buyers in control. So really we have a shift. I would say shift in this area over here. Over here you see the huge amount of selling and now huge amount of buying. So I'm not really shorting counter trend, right? So over here I have a resistance 760. But in order for me to start shorting, and Bruce knows very good, I'm looking for a confirmation. So I see a resistance, and you can see yourself, beautiful resistance right over here, over here. So the dailies are working extremely good, especially with the hourly chart, and I open my swings position with options over here. But then if I'm looking at an intraday position, like I'm doing right now, I'm looking for a trendline break, confirmation of a rejection, and then a short, right? So my plan today is looking if we can reject the 760 over here, sorry. If we can have that 760 also over here rejecting, I start seeing like some selling pressure. We'll put also right now times and sales on. Start seeing a trendline break, so the easy thing over here, and then I start seeing a rejection. In that case scenario, I'm then starting to short, right? Otherwise, I'm still waiting over here. I already took my trade long and actually short and long this morning. I don't need to trade more if I don't have, I would say, an A+ setup. So try to be conservative after 10:30, 11 o'clock. For example, 2 days ago, I had a very good morning. And then I gave back, I would say, a decent amount of P&L trading during the midday. All right. And the setups were good, but the volume was simply not there. The confirmation were not there. I was trading long and I don't have follow through. Not on Tesla, but on other stocks. But the point is the same thing. Don't give back, the morning profits when you start like over trading and maybe trading after 11, 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Joseph,
So,
that's a really interesting point there, that it can unravel into so many fantastic discussions or points on how to trade better. Number one, time frames, and also number two, volume. Make sure that this is aligned with your plan. But number three, though, is, and the most interesting one here, you're a veteran trader for like, I don't know how many years, like, since you were 18. So, you've been trading all this time, and it made your setup, okay, or at least visually on the chart, your setup was there, and yet this is what it did. So, that's something that you put back, you learn, you put back into your plan, and then you take that forward. Like, I'm not going to trade during low volume times, like or during this time of day, even if my setup looks great.
exactly. I mean, there are still like, some strategies I think we were talking about a couple of weeks ago that were good with low volume, but for trend following. So for what I'm doing right now, especially in long positions where you really need, like to see like some bullish markets, see like some buyers, some dip buyers, some follow through, then I need really the volume. Often I'm shorting, especially in this market where you could see traders, SPY is unwinding in the last weeks, in the last months. So shorting became very easy. And of course, sometimes we don't have that huge amount of volume. So stocks tend to fade with lack of volume. But of course, if I'm trying to have a long, and look over here, just this Tesla, we look at this Tesla over here in the last weeks. I mean, I doubt that unless some day trade, so trade maybe for a few hours, you will find some very good longs. I mean, even over here, if you long for how long it lasts, 2 days, 1 day and a half, and then we started to fade again. So before starting to take a position long, analyze the entire environment. You need also to have a read on the VIX. You need a read on the tick, especially if you trade big caps. You need to read on the order flow. You have to know what the volume is over here, the prints that are passing. That's the reason why I suggest over here on Bookmap to keep times and sales. Now, I don't have in the exact moment times and sales over here, not because I'm not using it, but also because I have on the brokers that I have, so it's already there. But if you want to have everything on Bookmap, you go simply over here, times and sales, and you can filter it, right? So you can filter it. For example, in this case, we can put minimum size like 100 shares. And yeah, 101, it's fine. I mean, we won't see the small prints like, 10 shares on Tesla, which I really don't care. Of course, if I'm trading a small cap, like for example, this morning we had on Agri or we had on Veru, I'm not going to keep 100 shares. I mean, I will see too much flow, too many executions. So I need to filter a little bit more. If it's super volatile stock in a small cap land, I will keep around 9 or 10K. So I want to see like the bigger blocks, especially if a stock is below $4 or $5. If instead we have, I would say, a $5, $10, $15 buck stock in a small cap land, and it's not super volatile, right? So we have like an average between 2 and 500K per minute of volume, so not exceeding the 1 million per minute. Then I will keep something between 3 and 5K volume per minute times and sales. I know it's a lot to digest, but my mind is like that. I mean, I know the content very good. Again, this, for example, I know that Bruce is recording on YouTube. You can simply like tag me below or just ask me a question right now and we can go over that together, right? Because I have certain specific parameters that help me determine how much, I would say, tons and sales tape, so size, I should be looking for each dollar price. All right, so you can see trader over here. Just zoom out, all right? I heard before Bruce saying that you were looking at stocks or futures, I don't know, on a tighter time frame, and it's very good. I like to see the microstructure, especially if I'm looking in trading a small cap, all right? And soon we'll go over to see, for example, Agri that we traded today, or Veru, or PIK, all small caps. But also always have, I would say, a look to the bigger picture. Bigger picture, especially when you trade near into daily resistance, all right? So if I'm looking over here at Tesla right now, and you can see the levels, all right? So these are all levels above of supply. Where in the past, previous weeks, previous days, previous months, we had consolidation, or I would say a rejection or a bounce. So those levels come back in play, all right? So what I'm doing, I'm focusing a little bit on the zooming out. I start looking over here just at a glance. What do you see over here? In the last 30 minutes, this chart is completely blue, right? You have very few sellers. While in the morning, besides, the big soak that always give you a big dot, in the morning you have sellers. Sellers that were absorbed into this area over here. So we can divide in two areas over here, as I said before. We had sellers over here, and these sellers were absorbed on this fake breakdown over here, right? So this is a fake breakdown of the support 740. And over here we have instead a huge amount of buyers, right? That they went exactly to the 760. Now, once we have this pass to a smaller time frame, I mean, you can also run multiple time frames together, and that is in, I would say, what I'm doing. We can look at the 5-minute chart. Other traders will look at the 1-minute chart. I mean, it's not that important. It's not that you will find one time frame better than the other one for you, but maybe for others won't be like this. And then I can start like, putting my lines like we did before, so you start putting like your trend lines. You can see that finally we're having the trend line. Remember what I said before? If I'm starting to see this trend line break, and over here, for example, we can take off a little bit of information. So I'm going to just like put, okay. I'm going to just like put like this. We can see that we're having a trend line break right now, right? So we're having the trend line break that we are waiting for. So look over here. But we're still on the VWAP. We're still at the J lines. We're still above the open level. It's still not a backside. I still don't have like, the fade and rejection that I consider this for a short. So this would be on my watch list today if we're going to present that setup. Okay. So I'm going to stalk it. When I say I'm stalking a stock, when I'm stalking it means I'm going after that and I'm waiting patiently. Often, like you feel overwhelmed because maybe you wait over here for a trade and maybe you don't have the trade come in and you start like taking, like setups that simply don't fit your criterias. If you have to do that, simply, go out, refresh your mind, come back, and then look again at the bigger picture. Try to have the discipline or you won't make money. So Tesla over here is one of the interesting stocks of the day. The other one was Apple. So we can look at Apple together. I didn't trade personally Apple this morning. So what I'm telling you also traders, I share, my trading in my room, so execution and everything. I traded only Agri, which was a good one. I traded only Tesla, small scalp on AMD, but Apple, I didn't trade it. And this is one of the best stocks that I trade during the day. I like the range. I like the options on this. We have very low price options. So if you're interested in options, start looking at how they work. When I day trade, I'm using OTM, just not at ATM, because as you know, ATM weekly, I hope a lot of you know this, ATM weekly are just like with too much time decay. Versus if you take, for example, 3-4 strikes OTM, time decay will have a less impact in your trading. Also, you can use, for example, on TOS, we're looking before, you have the theoretical price. For example, if you're going to buy some monthly options, all right? You can also look to trade in the money options. Of course, it will be more pricey. You can use the delta, so you'll see for each dollar price of the underlying stock how much the option will be increasing or decreasing. So if you look over here, traders, Bruce knows this very good. We have a downtrending stock. The strategy over here is very simple. Good setups in the morning. So we had the morning over here wedge. Why? Higher lows, lower highs. And I want to trade these setups over here. Of course, I missed this today. So it's not, oh, I would have traded this. I'm trading exactly what my trading strategy and my trading system is telling me. All right. So every single day for, I don't know, since how many years I'm doing this. So it's basically trading all these pops in the same way. And then I have the confirmation over here. So look at these pops over here, how they're precise, right? And let's zoom in the first one. So we're talking about 9:55. So now over here you see my Italian time, right? So 9:55 is 15:55. Please don't send me over here to hell, because I am trading like at a very good time, but that's really where I am. And when I start seeing this, and we had, as I said before over here, this nice juicy support, J-lines are working, direction also the SPY, because the SPY in the same moment with this, with also Tesla in the same moment, with also Netflix, they were fitting pretty good. And then I start seeing the same trend line break over here, right? And then you can see over here, we start like getting sellers. So that's my beautiful trade. That's where I want to start taking the short, or I can buy even, scalp with options. For example, over here, I will never start looking for 146 puts. I would stay more out of the money. Not even 145, maybe 142 or 140. Okay, again, I didn't check option this morning on Apple. I didn't trade Apple, but that's exactly what I'm looking to do. So I'm looking over here, the price section, and this is just like, every single time, Apple at every $5 has a huge amount of liquidity. So let's look at the bigger picture. We can start with, let's say, a 4-hour chart. So you see my lines, my levels already there. I think we can put even a weekly. Again, I'm sorry if you don't see the entire chart, but I'm trying to run a lower resolution for you traders. My resolution is much, I would say, more than this, so I can see more. That's the reason why I'm going to the weekly chart. Otherwise, I will simply scroll back a 1 hour, 4 hour chart. We have a main support over here, 137, 138. This is the main demand zone, right? So what you can see over here, this is my main demand zone. On the long term, you can see perfectly we had a bounce over here. So Jalen's work, not good, super good. And then what we have over here, price rejected the 150. So now we are in that $10 range, 140, 138, sorry, 150. Moving down to a daily chart. I want to see if we have, I would say, smaller support and resistance levels. So what I'm going to do over here, of course, I'm going to take into consideration this 135 because it's a level where I see on Bookmap we have liquidity. I mean, it's true that we have it at every $5 stock, every $5 range, but also we could see it maybe 147. Maybe there's a big hand or a big institution at 143. So always look where we have the high liquidity together with level on the chart. And if I have a high liquidity, I will put on the chart with another color the high liquidity zone, right? This is very important because when you're going to trade during the day, you have to know, or you have to remember a few days later, over there we had a big buyer, over there we had a big seller. So try to do this stuff. This is just like a memory of the chart of the order flow. Again, I see over here today a 145, and you make sure that this is just not spoofing, all right? You make sure that this is a real trader. So you will see over here the orders passing. So what you're starting to do over here, you're starting basically to put on your chart with a different color from your normal lines, let's say yellow or blue, what you prefer. And you can even write over here, for example, hey, so you remember it was a heat map. And you can write heat map 100K. So in the next days, 1 week from now, you're not going to remember, I mean, unless you're trading only Apple, but if you're trading like 10, 15, 20 stocks in a week like me, you need to remember that at 145, you had the big liquidity, all right? So that will help you, sorry. Now, if I look at this chart, look over here, traders. I'm gonna put a horizontal line. This is a previous peak. Where was 145? We're talking about January 2021. And today, we are back to that level. So putting things together, then I move down to a 4-hour chart. And I start looking for other previous level of resistance or support. For example, you can trace another one over here, this area, all right, 149. And then I'm moving down to a lower time frame. Of course, I would need to scroll back over here, to see the previous months and previous weeks. And then I can go finally, let's say, to a 5 minutes or to a 1 minute chart. And now what I see, the 149 was a very good rejection this morning. Now I see where we have the support this morning at the 145. So it's not that, oh, at this point over here, I will simply long, but I know I can expect some bounce. So just sellers over here, all right? And if you start seeing like green, doesn't mean necessarily they're buying, all right? Remember, of course, you will see buyers, especially if a SPY is starting to bounce, if yes is starting to bounce. But when you see these, often you have also to consider how many covers we can have today. Because over here, we had a huge amount of short sellers all morning. I mean, if you were looking at the tape over here, even if I didn't trade it, I was still looking at the tape at the price section. And all of these pops, and you can see over here on Bookmap, we had immediate rejections. These pops over here didn't last like, 5, 6, 10 minutes. These were instantly, like 30 seconds, 1 minute, boom, dump, boom, dump. So what does it mean? When we dump in that way, it means that somebody was selling hard or it was shorting hard, shorting big. All right? And that automatically make you understand, okay, we have a lot of short sellers. Where short sellers will take like profit, often near a big support. This is a daily support as we saw before, plus we have a heat map. And now you start putting all the things together. It's like a process, all right? You shorted, where should I cover? Actually, I would tell you when we start having higher lows and buyers, but also I can start to trim out near a big support demand level over here, because I'm expecting to start seeing like, buyers maybe from that are over here from previous months or weeks that are waiting this level to get long. Okay, makes sense, traders?
Yep, sounds good. Let me see if there's any questions here for you. Hold on. No, I think we're good. Let me see YouTube. Hold on. Sorry, Joseph.
Hey guys, gals, from time to time over here, give some applause also to Bruce. Is making an incredible job over here. He's giving all this free also for you guys on YouTube. So he's putting, I see he's streaming over here every single day. So give him a like, hands up for Bruce because he's making a terrific job. Okay, traders?
Thank you,
So,
Joseph. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, and Joseph is here every Wednesday, trading live, taking positions, stalking these trades. No, I think we're all set. No questions at the moment.
all right. So I want to cover here a small cap. I know that a lot of people will like freak out when I'm going to put this stock. So Veru and or Agri. I mean, you can decide yourself. I mean, you can write over here, traders in the room or on YouTube, just like reach out, try to also, share with us, it's important your opinion. If you want that we cover some stock, basically because I was trading today Agri, so I can go over a few things with you. Just reach out and give us your opinion or what you would like that we follow. So over here, Mac Loco, I believe that he was following Vero. Okay. One of the worst and best stock to trade. Why worse? Because it was highly manipulated all these days. In the meantime, over here, we'll upload Vero. It was very highly manipulated. It's not a stock that gapped one day and faded. This ran multiple days, right? So it's pretty tricky to start to trade Vero if you're not at least experienced. I'm gonna just cover here a few notes that I gave this morning so that you know what was my idea. Prep notes on Vero we have another extended play, and I'm gonna put this up 1 second. Over extended play, daily resistance 1670 and 1750 gap up. So at the open, I'm looking for a push to the pre-market highs or 750 stuff to short or a bear trap long, because from day to day is really doing that. So over here you have a 60-minute chart, 60. And now I'm sorry really because I cannot zoom too much. Maybe let me just try over here 1 second. Okay. So I put my levels, right? You can see over here, we have the 1660 just over here in the right corner, which is the first purple line. And then we have the 1748, 1750. So I see all this like a big accumulation, right? Like a big accumulation. But often this accumulation, they do one thing. Being that everybody is looking for the breakout, my plan over here this morning was to look for or this fake out over here, or this fake out over here, or above this level, another accumulation called Jim Slim, and then looking for a long. So you have to be prepared for plan A, plan B, right? Market is this. Don't be focused only with one bias, because if you're wrong and you're stubborn and you only have that bias, one, or you will fight it, or you won't simply trade. Instead, we're looking for trading opportunities. Now, passing to the lower time frame, and over here I'm gonna put Vero both on our Bookmap, and I'm gonna always use the dots when I trade, so we can put it like this. All right, and I'm gonna go to the starter, the start of the day. I'm gonna show you a few things that we had. All right, So remember what we were looking for. I was looking for this 660 and I was looking traders for the 1750 too short. Today I didn't trade river. We had the perfect dayline rejection, I know. So I supposed to have been trading this. I didn't, so I missed the trade. And I missed a trade on an A+ setup. So now you'll ask me, Jay, what is an A+ setup? When you trade small caps, you have to be quick. Quicker than you will be when you're trading futures or stocks or options or coins. And I tell you why. So small caps are very active, especially at levels of resistances, which could be a daily resistance, intraday resistance, weekly resistance, or again, support. We can have fast reversals. In the past weeks over here also on Bookmap, we've seen like example of absorptions into a high liquidity level that you can see a high liquidity level over here, right? 1625, 1630, which is this previous high, all right? Again, remember the point that I was looking for was 1660. Now, technically, who knows me? This is a level of resistance I will still take. Well, I missed it today. Simply missed it, okay? I was fast. I was focused on others. So I'm trying to get excuses right now because I didn't trade it. But that's the point. So I just want to explain you how to do this, right? So start doing it in paper, test it, see if you can do it, practice. No, it takes some time. Just yesterday, for example, I was interviewing a trader, and this trader passed from 3K to almost 180K. So I'm going to put up the interviews in the next days. But the point is, he started very small. He started paper. He started to study. So when you're over here, start to paper, start to study, and then start to, applying the strategy with a small amount of money, always protecting yourself, using stop losses. And then eventually, when you see confidence and conviction, you start adding a little bit more size. So at the open, look what a beautiful pattern. We have over here an open. Right away, we have what I call a fake out. Because we were looking over here for this curl. You see the VWAP, right? This is a reclaim of the VWAP that you can see over here, 936. This level over here. Right? You can see over here, reclaim the J lines. Start to push up into high liquidity level. And the bad part over here, if you are breakout traders, is that you will get killed. Killed for the fact that you have breakout traders always trying to buy the level of the breakout or maybe even anticipating that level. But you must know that if you trade small caps, if you do this, will be super tricky. And often you'll be like faked out and the market will reverse on you. So at this point, you see buyers and then you see buyers. So the price over here is going to this previous level and you see buyers and you see buyers. These buyers are absorbed. So when we're talking about absorption, you still don't know that at this point you will have absorption, but you can start tracking this kind of setup. Start looking how many times it works on high volume stocks. Remember, high volume stocks. It doesn't really work on low volume stocks in small caps. High volume stocks. So there's a lot of participation of volume of buyers over here. But at the same time, there's one big trader or maybe many big traders or a few big hands together that have a precise agenda over here. What we can do as retail traders, we cannot, of course, stay over here and maybe we stay short with the limit order, preset limit order, and then maybe it rips over here. And then we take the entire loss against us, especially if you're looking to short. But what we can do is waiting over here that they soaked and then start looking with Bookmap when they start selling. So you don't really short while it's going up over here because I was waiting. This was my A+ setup. I was waiting for this. This was B setup at this level over here that I missed it. All right. But I don't simply, even if it goes up over here, I don't simply wait over there and, okay, get me filled, and then maybe boom, rips 40, 50 cents, $1 against me. And remember, Vero can do that. Vero can run like $4 or $5 in 30 minutes. So I'm waiting for the confirmation. So I don't really care over here to take the top tick. Don't care to share those charts. I want to see when sellers join in. So when the tape is starting to become red, when I have the times of sales over here like they're joining, I put then my stop loss, generally a few cents above the resistance, because often they can just like over here fake out a little bit of slippage, and then I'm joining the trend for the unwind. Now remember what I told you before. Don't look only at the we say shorter time frame. Okay, give it a look, and we can do like this. All right, so give it a look over here. So you see where we have the soak. Forget about open. You will always see this. At the open, you see a huge concentration of orders. So a lot of inputs over here, and we don't need for now to look at this. But start looking at this big point over here. So we see over here that we have sellers, right? So all these lines over here, these bands over here, you see orange ones, means that we have sellers placed on level 2. All right, so they are placed on the market. The agenda over here, in this case for the big hands, that the price reaches this point, and we have almost 100K, I would say, volume. And then they start like dumping. So now look at this. After this dump, of course, you'll say 2020 is I would say, very clear. But no, that's a setup that we want to trade. Because this setup, I've seen like, I would say, other maybe 400 or 500 times. Then you start looking over here while you're trading at the amount of volume traded at each of these dots. So we have another 100K. We have over here 40K. We have over here 50K. We have over here 37K. And of course, you will see that part of this are buyers. So you can even change the dots over here. So if you go over here in the dots, we did this one time, and you go down here and you start putting, for example, you want to see the total volume that you have over here. But you will see, even with only the volume delta that I prefer, you will see that the majority of here are sellers, especially if you'll see the times of sales. So that makes you stay in the trade. That allows you to ride the trade all the way down. All right? So this is my point if you trade Vero. Then when you see these pops, okay, start looking for levels where we have exhaustions, and start looking where, for example, we start seeing sellers again. Again, you don't need to take the top tick over here. Who cares? Start looking instead when we have sellers, like on this bar. This, all right? So that is my point on Vero. Now, miss for the day. We have still a lot of time to trade Vero. I mean, yesterday gave a beautiful long setup. And from the gate over here in the morning, let's see if it's loading. Okay, the morning over here, you can see the dip right away push, then it started curling. And yesterday was totally the opposite. While today we see all this tape being, we say over here, magenta, right? So we had sellers in control. Yesterday we had only buyers in control. All right. So let's see, for example, Apple. So let's go back and check Apple. All right. So remember what we said before. 145 is the level that I suggest you as a trader that you should keep on the charts, because it was the big liquidity zone, right? We had a breakdown of that 145 and fast reclaim. So in this case, doesn't mean I'm going long. We're still making lower highs. But this is the first moment that we had finally a breakdown. For now, it's a fake breakdown over here because they reclaim, and even a little bit about of buyers and covers. And now let's see if they're gonna like consolidate on 145 and start breaking to the upside, or we're gonna break down and then reject. So I'm looking for or this and then push, or breakdown consolidation, and then over here fail. So when I see these consolidations is when then I want to attack. So for the long, I will need to see some consolidation over here, and this, which would happen over here. And for the short, I want to see a rejection and then a drop. So a rejection and then a drop. I mean, if today you were trading PIK at the top, there was this. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for when I have consolidation. Then bounce, reversal, or rejection and more unwind. So let's continue to watch over here the Apple.
So Amar, he's covering Apple now for you. Amar was looking for some spoofing around 145. And then there's also a question on how you interpret exhaustion in Bookmap.
Oh, okay. So, hello, Amar. So Amar is a good friend of mine. Thank you, Amar, over here for joining us. So Apple, first of all, no, was not really spoofing. These were big orders and real orders. I mean, when, and because I know it, right? Only because I follow it. And I know that you like Apple as well. As you know, when we have these big whole round dollar numbers, we don't have spoof. They're really like orders of they're sitting. And often these orders are sitting over there, like, you know, from maybe days or like from the early pre-market, right? Because maybe somebody has, I would say, a plan to start accumulating on Apple. So you start, you know, every single day putting orders up on, for example, on Apple, or having them orders just sitting over there. So that's the point. When we have like spoofing on Apple, we will see more like, you know, generally, I would say a consolidation area. Maybe I would say just after news, somebody maybe that wants to get filled or wants to push down the market and then trying to spoof to accumulate more lower. So no, these levels over here are generally like real orders. About instead the exhaustion, there are many ways to spot the exhaustion. One could be only with a chart pattern and looking over there at the times and sales in the tape. So in that case, you'll simply look for, let's say we exhaust over here, right? Just looking at your times and sales and looking over here, Bookmap. We will need to see over here that we cannot put anything more. And then you will see on the times and sales that we have like a stall in the tape. Spread is generally like getting wider, right? So you won't see anymore, you know, that 3 or 5 cent spread on Apple that we see as usual. You'll see maybe like 10, 15 or 20 cents. So spreading a little bit, widening. And then you start seeing like, you know, red prints because long prints are not anymore there. So that's like a way to see exhaustion. A second way that often we see, and let me put this big up, I believe, okay, so over here, when I see these peaks, and I start seeing that we can have no more prints, generally I want to see this more, I would say, extreme, right? So a little bit more extreme on this. I want to see like maybe in the case of Apple between 10 and 15 cents, where I don't see dots over there. That tells me, all right, we can have a little bit of exhaustion. Like, for example, over here, right? Or let me see if we saw one before. Yeah, like over here, this was a nice one. This was a nice one over here. Basically exhausted. And you can see over here, after that dot, we have over here just like magenta prints, right? It takes a little bit to understand that. Not all the stocks behave the same. Maybe we put over here RDBX. I know this morning this was like crazy. Yeah, this was a nice exhaustion move, but not really what I'm looking over here. But I mean, just like look when sellers join in, this is a stair step down pattern. Beautiful. Let's see over here, Marcel. Okay, my exhaustion, right? John Air, how important is consolidation at key area, just like you said at 145? Consolidation is very important if you want to see then a reversal, or if you want to see then a good follow through move. For me, it's more important, I would say, when I'm looking for day trades than when I'm looking for scalping or like, just a very small trade. Consolidation are the base to understand if we will have more follow through. Because how many times, for example, you will see a breakout and then right away fakes. But if instead we see a breakout, let's say of this level, and then start consolidating over here, then we can have the big move over here. I mean, we were talking about Vero, right? If you go look in Vero in the past 3-4 days, you will see this pattern. If you start looking at Agri yesterday, the first day, so 2 days ago, that would be Monday, yes, Monday, you will see the big accumulation. All right, a consolidation, accumulation. So right now, when I see over here the fail 145, consolidation below, trend line break or stuff, and then I'm looking to ideally short this. Trend line break on Apple is breaking the sweats, right? So we have a nice play over here. Like this. Now, let's see if we can have this, traders. And it's very easy if you know exactly what to look for. It's very easy. So fight with that 145. Again, you see the soak. 145 soak another time over here. So came down, big bars again. So they're trying really to hold this. But again, you see without consolidation, you cannot do anything, right? You cannot short right now. You cannot buy. We're far from the J lines. So mid-range like this, I need to see that for that consolidation. I think was Jonah. Yeah, Jonah, you were asking, right? I cannot over here short only because I have that rejection 145 or buy just because we are above. I mean, look what's it doing. And you will see this over and over and over. I mean, on other stocks as well. That's my point. I like to see these sellers right now. And look at that support. We have more support 140 and 80s, 140 and 50s. Now, I would like to see over here a straight line for a few minutes below the 145 and then looking to short on that break, right? So remember, when I see a consolidation over here, small G and slim, and then boom, that. And I will look to short this area over here with a very tight risk. But I need to see that the price stays below 145 and we have this. I mean, this dip is pretty nice. because it's still like showing, I always say weakness, right? Still showing sellers. And again, they're trying again 145, right? 145. They're trying for a double top, double bottom. Let's watch a bigger picture right now. Okay, first drop, look at this, traders. Boom, instantly, right? So what over here, you cannot simply take it. Big drop over here. Just look at the SPY, look at the S right now. Want to check the 5 minutes. So breakdown over here. In this case, we didn't have the consolidation I wanted. So nothing. I missed the move, all right? My first entry from my strategy was over here at the stop, 147 and these peaks. Now, missed that, I don't chase it. This was a nice breakdown over here. Look, that huge amount of selling pressure. And just look, check the SPY, for example, and you will see what I mean. Same exact price action. So buy over here, 144.68. Getting back to Apple. So I didn't take executions until, from the starting of this streaming. This morning already with Tesla and with Agri. You see again, they're trying over here to hold his support. Somebody over here is selling big this morning. Selling big. We have finally our trendline break. Look over here. Big amount of selling. This is a really big sell-off. All right. Previous support right now at 144. So possibly a bounce over here. This is a very important level. 144. You have to look at this. So keep always a higher time frame. This was the analysis that I made this morning. So I can show over here what I was watching, so that you know it's important to know the plan, right? Apple prep notes below hourly J lines, very short-term trend. I'm going to only look for puts 140, below 146 target 140. So we broke the 146. I'm looking for the 140. Now I need also to see the break at 144. I said this morning, look for over under, so a short, pop and fill short, J-line rejection short, 90 minute pep ladder for short. So it's very important to make your plan. The trend line over here, I made like pre-market actually yesterday. And then pre-market, I started seeing like the trend line break. And of course, then you start following this, all right? Now, point for me is to find now the correct entry. Because for example, today, as I said, I missed Apple. I was focusing on Tesla. I was focusing on a small cap, actually two small caps. So I'm not chasing the price over here. We don't have the consolidation 145 below. We faded to the previous support. This is a big washout. You can see over here a little bit of exhaustion on this bar. And now what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for a push to this 144.80. If I see that and it really gives me a spoof, like I will see some spoof over here or a fake out or a stuff, I'm looking too short. But I want to see over here at 144.80. It's my band, plus over here is the previous support, now resistance. John is asking over here, so how quick and often do you trade the per day using your option flow and patterns? What do you mean, how often, buddy? I mean, all day, basically, but I focus, I would say, the pre-market in the first 90 minutes. Then I generally come back to trade the afternoon. Remember, we have a daily support over here at 144. Nice heat map over here. But I'm not looking for any long. Trend is down, SPY is down, so I'm staying always with the main trend over here. When I go back and check Tesla. So remember our plan before, right? We said, let's look for the trendline break on Tesla and rejection. So rejection came. I know that somebody that followed me probably short over here, the 748. Let's look at the order flow and let's zoom out a little bit. Remember what we spoke about before. Let's zoom out a little bit. All right. So what can we see over here? When we had Amar, you know how I trade, and over here we have McLovin, we have Marcel. So look over here, traders. Perfect trendline break, which is this one. And then we see this trendline break. So the market is down over here. SPY is falling. We are fading over here. We have the stop rejection 748. Sellers are in control. This is a beautiful pattern over here. Simply like it. If we see this pattern on a bigger time frame, you can see a big, huge wedge. But remember always to look at the bigger picture. So remember on the hourly chart, I have the trendline break. And I said this morning my plan, we break 740, we confirm the bar below 740, target 720, second target 700, and then I'm looking for 680 down here. We can do like this. All right. So now I'm looking for that. You see? We have till the next bar, all right, 46 minutes still. 1 hour is working. 5 minutes over here. Give us a very good setup. And 1 minute. That's a nice selling pressure right now, like that. So low of the day, 738. We need to crack that and go to the 720. Mac, I start looking for, simply a trendline break and the rejection of these bars over here. So I start looking for sellers, all right, to determine the entry over here. Just look over here. This is for example, 1104, 1103, when we have these big sellers, right? So that is a reason to time your entries. Another bear flag formation. So possible continuation over here on our Tesla. What I'm looking is this and this. high chances over here for a breakdown. We need to get this 42.80. There we are. So you can see they started to pop, and then right away we had a seller. So possible dump over here to the 742 right now. I'm looking also the times and sales, right, traders? Okay, I'm trying to zoom in to show you. There we are. You see? Another bear flag. Boom. Wash. Market is heavy, so you cannot simply start to buy. You see over here the timing, McLovin, you were asking just now. How you find the timing? Remember what I said. 742, we have a breakdown, bear flag, possible unwinding to 740, to 742. Now we're going to the 740. You know, beautiful fail over here, right, guys? This is the moment. You see the seller joining over here. And you see over here this bear flag. That's all you want to look for. I'm gonna post it over here so you can view it. Let me see. Okay. Now remember what we have on the daily. So our supports. And remember always, traders, if we have a day like this, don't try to buy dips only because you see heat maps, only because you see supports. SPY, ES are the guide, NQ are the guide. Okay, so trade accordingly. Exactly. Beautiful slot that you point out this. Exactly, buddy. For example, last time we covered how I like to use ES. So go watch it. It's last week. Yeah, I explained Apple. I was trading live Apple. And I was explaining the use that I had on ES together with a lot of these big caps, right? It's still weak over here. 740 is that important support. Thanks, Marcel, for the update. We'll love to see that, buddy. We'll love to see that. So we have this 740 over here support zone. Below this 738 confirmed. I see 720, another main demand zone, and then 700. Would love to see that. But I want to show you this. Every single time that I had that pattern, I open a swinger. This, okay, this, and then we add another one over here. So each time that we have this pattern, but of course has to be confirmed above below the 738, then we have a big unwind. They're putting over here a little bit of support at 730 traders, sorry, 740. Don't get really scared. If you are in a we say short position, I mean, at least when I am in a short position and I have a good average, but I see a heat map like this, I mean, it could be somebody like me that is just like, you know, want to take a little bit of profit, is short. Doesn't mean necessarily to cover, because often when you have like these big demand zone, right? So support zone over here, they're breaking, then you can go and unwind like for 5, 6, even $10 on something like Tesla. There she's traders 740. So what they're doing, remember what I said before, they're going to probably absorb something, but I still believe over here with this market, we're going to unwind more. I see over here, we traded like around 5,000. Big seller jumped in. Look at that. Big seller jumped in. So we have 3,000, 2005, 2003, 2000. We have big seller trying to break the 740. Market over here is weak. And until the market will be weak, this will unwind. Is it clear? Prepare over here for a wash right now. Again, check yes and SPY. This is not done. This is not done. Until the market, the entire market reverses, you have to stay short. At least I'm staying short over here. When it will be longs, I would say with no more size to absorb, boom, you're gonna see the wash over here, a couple of bucks. So now they're refilling. What means refilling? Before it was around 1,000. They put back a little bit of more size, 4,000. You see, they're trying over here to hold it. Creating a little bit of spread, 30 cents of spread. Again, they're attacking over here the support. This is pretty interesting. So remember, we are on that support. Market is dumping. Important level also on yes right now. Exactly. Probably also over here soak and another leg down. So let's see if this is the scenario. So they're trying over here to stay below this trend line, right? And they're pointing down again. So we have a fight over here between buyers and sellers. They're trying 741 breakout and somebody booms, sells over here to below the breakout level. Again, you see they're trying to break over here. Boom, a seller joins. So there are a little bit of aggressive sellers over here all along the way. Each of these pops was sold. There we are. Big fracture of this support. Micro support is 70. Again, retesting that 740. Prepare for the wash. 2000 going down. 600, boom. So when you have a breakdown, what do you want to see? You don't want to see a reclaim of the previous level, and you want to stay below that level. Again, best is to see a consolidation below and then more unwind. So we're almost at that support, leg down over here, possibly another break of 739 coming. Seller again. And this traders from our level of entry over here, 748. All right. We're saying look for the breakout. And then if we have a rejection, perfect trendline break. This is my perfect, one of my best setups. We went all the way down. See more hourly chart. Still there. Sellers are still in control. You see the rejection 740. All right, traders. So we are in the last few minutes of our streaming. I believe we answered the majority of the questions. If you have more questions over here, you can just write in the room or just below over here into the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we look pretty good up, caught up on questions here. Just do you use anything for the expansion contraction of the spread? I mean, Bookmap shows that.
Exactly.
So you can see it there with the dotted lines on JTrader's chart there.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you can just put over here, traders. You go and you can put buy sell orders, but over here you can put NBBO. It's fine, or you can put like bid ask, whatever you prefer. I personally like to keep it like this, and I start looking over here the prints. For me, that's even more important.
Yeah, so that answers your question there. And I'll also add in there, like, yeah, I always look at it. I want to see, wow, look at that move. I always want to
Beautiful.
see the spread, what I'm getting involved in.
Beautiful. So we're breaking that low, traders. Remember that's 738. If we close below 738, there's a very high chance we go 720 and then 700. Nice trend line break, hourly chart. I mean, I smell over here unwind. What do you smell?
Yeah, I smell pizza money. Well, more than pizza money. Yeah, that's a lot more than pizza money.
Nice, really nice sellers over here joining. Really nice sellers. I like to see this. All right, traders. So 11:30. This is my morning end for today's streaming. Again, if you need help, just reach out. Bruce is over here again for you guys every single day. He's making amazing streaming. Thank again, Bruce and Bookmap. See you again, traders, next week. Again, interact with us if you have questions, things you would like we to cover. I would say comments, anything useful, you're welcome. All right. Thank you again, everybody, and see you next week. Thank you, Bruce, and have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. If you guys like this video, you like videos like this, please hit the thumbs up button there. That really helps us gauge and offer more. All right. Thank you very much, Joseph. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.